Winter is coming, but first it gave us a chance to catch our breaths. Mhysa. I'm going to apologize for the background. I'm shooting this while I'm actually doing some traveling, but I want to try and get my thoughts down while they're still fresh in my head. So this is the last episode of Season 3 on Game of Thrones, and I've heard some people call it anticlimactic. I wouldn't go so that far. It's actually pretty much in keeping with the tone of most of the last episodes for the seasons, because you tend to get your really big seminal moments in the second to last episode. First season, it was the execution of Ned Stark. Second season, it was the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Third season had its own thing going on in the previous episode, so the last episode is usually more of a way of winding down and putting us into a slightly more subdued mode as we wait for the next season to come out, so that we're not waiting for almost a year on a complete and total cliffhanger. That said, the season finales for the previous two seasons did at least have one button at the end to sort of give a little oomph. Oh yeah, that's new. You know, the birth of the dragons in season 1, the appearance of the White Walkers in season 2. This season doesn't really have that last sort of oomph note at the end of it. So it is, I guess, a little bit anticlimactic compared to previous season enders, but overall tone is still very much consistent. And honestly, I'm kind of appreciative of that, because after what happened in the previous episode, which I'm not going to get into, we'll deal with spoilers when I do the series overview, but it's nice just to give the audience a chance to catch their breaths and just absorb and deal with what went on. And the characters kind of need that too. So this is really just all about setting the stage and setting the players for the next season. Now, there are a couple of specific things that I really like in this episode. You may remember I mentioned they've put Sansa Stark in a situation where maybe she could finally become interesting. Well, she's starting to nudge that way. So I'm crossing my fingers that she will finally be interesting to me. Speaking of Stark ladies, Arya gets some great moments in here. Remember all those romances I was complaining about before? Well, one of them appears to have broken up in spectacular fashion. I'm really kind of hoping it stays that way, although even if they reconcile, I'm just glad that these moments in this episode happen. I'm really taking to Davos the Onion Knight as well. While I hesitate to make it a direct comparison, he's kind of become the equivalent of Ned Stark, in that he is a character who does not believe that the ends justify the means. He believes in just being good and not just doing whatever he can to further his goals or further his lord's goals or whatever. He's becoming the Rock that Ned was in the first season, and the sort of character that we didn't really have in the second season. Yes, Davos was introduced in the second season, but we didn't get to know him and his place in all this too well. Now we're getting a much better sense of him, and I love him. Samwell Tarly, how cool is this guy turning out to be? And just a lot being built up that just makes me all the more excited for season 4 to get started. In the spirit of this last episode, let me ask you, is your preference for season finales real big whiz bang? Do you prefer cliffhangers, or do you prefer these sort of quieter, catch your breath sort of episodes? What's your general preference? Leave something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And until next time, this council is adjourned.